All right. Well, let's talk to another Drew out of Washington. Drew, what's on your mind tonight?
Um, so like I'm a gay trans guy, right? And almost no one seems to understand, not even my boyfriend. Right here, loud. Anyway, sorry about that.
Yeah.
But like no one seems to understand, like very few of my friends do, except for one of my friends. We just talked about how hot men are. That's how much he's passionate about it. But most people don't understand. And there's like these two guys who I was talking to about it and talking about like trans stuff and like explaining it to them so they understood more.
Mm-hmm.
And then they learned that I like men, not women. And they were like, why don't you just stay female then? And like a lot of people tend to assume I'm basically just a lesbian and stuff. And it's really annoying. So how do I make them understand is the question.
Yeah. I mean, that's a very tricky question, right? Like, I don't know that you can make anybody understand so much as offer them some sort of explanation, some sort of information about your life. And the most important part is going to really come down to the people that you surround yourself, I'm sorry to say. Tell me a little bit more about the way that people seem to see you and what that confusion looks like.
Like there's two different ways, because there's one that like trans men in general, like society just tends to view us as lesbians. And the other one, which is personal, is like my boyfriend, even though he dates me and stuff, he just doesn't understand it seems like. And there's other people who just like I said, just tells me to like stay female or something, or like not transition to male. And it's happened several times. And basically stuff like that. It's nothing too severe, but it's like still like,
yeah,
I don't have a word.
No, I hear it. And I mean, it really does seem to not be all that complicated. It's just good old fashioned transphobia, right? Like it's just good old fashioned not seeing you for who you actually are. And I should say that I work with a number of trans men who are gay, and there's a framework for that in our society. Like, you're allowed to exist as that identity, and there's certainly people that will understand, love, and accept that. Unfortunately, the percentage of those people is shamefully low in many parts of the world, and really everywhere.
Yeah.
And one thought I have is, Drew, it's so hard, right? So it sounds like you're at a place where you're discovering, embracing yourself as you are, but then there also comes that element, I would think, of then kind of demanding that of others as well. I mean, you can't demand and control and force everyone to accept you, but for those that you let into your inner circle, like you gotta vigilantly guard and defend that inner circle, those that you surround yourself with. And if sometimes it might not feel like there's a lot of people that would even qualify for that inner circle, that can maybe be part of the toughest part, right? But you have to demand that to a certain extent, that, listen, this is who I am, and you have to acknowledge that and embrace it and accept me for me, or this is not going to work, because I'm not going to allow those that I love and place around me to dishonor me and who I am, where they don't even care to listen. I don't know. Is that helpful?
A little bit. Like, personally, I have a little bit of trouble with, like, defending myself a little bit on that aspect, because I'm just, like, whenever people call me a she or, like, any of the, like, trans slurs, and there's new ones coming out, too. Like, I've been called, like, a reverse catfish, and it's, like, annoying. It's just, I can't defend myself against that, because at one point in my life, I was a little bit a part of the alt-right, and I'm glad I got out, but I ended up getting something inside me that, like, just was like, oh, yeah, deal with it, you know? It's not a big deal. And, like, I'm trying to get it out, but I can't.
Oh, yeah. I'm so sorry.
No, and I hate that you are going through this process, and I definitely want to empower you to suck up as many books, as many resources, as many memes, as many whatevers you need in order to feel confident in your identity, and to remind you that we all feel a little shaky from time to time. That doesn't mean that you're
Yeah.
wrong. That doesn't mean that you have just made all of this up. You don't need to gaslight yourself. It's okay to stay curious, and it's okay to hold these labels and these identities with a loose hand. But I don't want that to be the same thing as doubting yourself or thinking that everybody else knows something you don't, because nobody could possibly know more about you than you. You're the expert. You
Mm.
are the qualified person. You're the only one whose opinion, frankly, really matters. And so whatever you say goes.
You
Yeah, I
are
just
the.
remembered something else too. Oh, sorry.
Mm,
No, you're good. Go ahead.
No, but I used to identify as a lesbian at one point, and I realized I like guys, and I realized I really only like guys. And so
mm,
my mom once told me that I used to be a lesbian, and I was like, no, I just thought I was one. And it's like stuff like that happens too.
mm. Yeah. No, I hear that. And I can appreciate why that might make you feel a little anxious. The way that we weaponize so many of
Mm.
these terms and the way that we weld people into categories is honestly exactly what we were talking about with Jeff in the last call. It's valuable to be able to be flexible, to be able to be curious, to not feel like you have to, pick your Hogwarts out or your divergent cast, or I don't know, whatever other silly teen thing is in vogue now, because you're not just one thing. And even if those labels truly are you, they're a little flexible and they're a little bit ineffable. And that messiness is not a sign that you're doing a bad job.
Mm.
It's not a sign that this is your mistake or your problem. It just shows that our culture and our society has done a really poor job of understanding folks like you. And, not that it's my place to, but I'd just like to apologize for that and let you know that I see that hurt. And I just want to validate that experience for you.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
you weren't doing it, so
Yeah. No,
sorry.
and I want to say, no, you're great. You're great. This is your time, right? So, but I see you as well, and my heart breaks in many ways for what I'm hearing. But I just like to, express as well that, just life is a journey. It's more of a meandering journey oftentimes rather than a straight line, right? It's a journey of self-discovery. None of us, even those of us who like to put on this confident exterior, like we've always known exactly who we are, how many of those folks feel just as lost as many of the rest of us, right? But society makes us feel like we have to have our shit together and look like we've got it all figured out, when very few people do. And so, I'd encourage you, the more you can just allow yourself to explore on that journey and to look back at previous turns in that exploratory journey. Maybe there's some of those things. I know I look back at certain things where I'm like, man, damn, I wish fam, I could have figured that out a little earlier, or that it wasn't as uncomfortable, or that I didn't have this thought at this time, or this misunderstanding of myself at this time, or whatever may be. But we got to allow ourselves to explore, and to evolve and to grow. And who I am today is not who I'm going to be tomorrow, at least not in every sense of the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope that gives you,
Yeah.
some encouragement and some permission to be yourself, and to just remember that it's okay for this process to be a little bit messy, even if we hate some of the pain that is all causing. I do appreciate you being willing to share that story with us, and to let people know what it can be like to be in that situation.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, though, I have noticed how like a couple of gay men and a couple of bisexual men are basically the only ones who have actually understood it. And like, it's also like the whole issue is further compounded by the fact that I do not look like a gay dude, like the stereotypical feminine, like camp one. Like I do have like some feminine mannerisms. Like sometimes I'll like do the like weird hand thing while I'm talking, But I look more like a redneck. and most do not look like rednecks,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's
we use all of this camouflage and all of this signaling to let people know who we are, and our categories are painfully weak and a little bit arbitrary and ridiculous. So I'm glad that you feel, or I hope that you begin to feel a little more comfortable in being yourself and knowing that that's okay, that you don't have to fit a particular label or any specific idea of what a man looks like or what a gay man looks like or any of these adjectives. They're only here to describe you. They're not meant to tell you who to
Mhm.
be. Rather, they're meant to just describe who you actually are. And they don't always do a great job because English is imperfect, human language is imperfect, our culture is imperfect, and we can just embrace some of that messiness.
Embrace what's helpful
Yeah.
and forget
Mm.
what's not.
Sure.
Embrace what's helpful. Use the language that you personally find helpful. Use the framework, whatever framework. Lots of different kinds of frameworks in life, right? I mean, not just in terms of gender or sexuality, but in terms of everything. Use what's, find the freedom. Again, I keep going back to find the freedom, but find the freedom to disregard what doesn't help and embrace only what does.
Mm.
So I hope that gives you, some food for thought and maybe some places to look. If anything else comes up, please feel free to give us an email or to give us another call, particularly if there's a particular resource or anything that you're looking for. And I really do appreciate you sharing your story.
Thanks so
Thanks.
much, Drew.
Take care.